Hey everybody, it's Roger with Kinsta. I'm joined today by a good friend, Casey from GravityKit. Hey Casey, how are you?
Hey Roger, yeah, I'm doing really well. Happy to be here.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you here. Just so everybody's got a kind of heads up, we're going to do a bunch of demos today and learn about how GravityKit specifically can really help you take your website to some different levels than maybe what you're doing right now. And I'm really excited to have Casey here because he's an expert. He works at GravityKit. I'll have him do an introduction here shortly so that we can really kind of see some more potential maybe from your WordPress website than what you thought is possible. So just to kind of get started, I'm going to give my introduction real quick. My name is Roger. I work at Kinsta in the partnership and community management role for North America specifically. And my job is basically to talk with our partners and learn more about what they're doing. And I'm really excited for this presentation because when I think of things like Gravity Forms or a form on your website, I think, oh, great. I can collect a customer's information and then I can call them back and I can make a sale or something like that. And as I've been learning more about GravityKit's capabilities, my mind is just blown. And so I'm really excited to share this with everybody and show some demos and dig into stuff here. So with all that said, Casey, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, I'm Casey. I'm the Growth and Operations Manager here at GravityKit. Yeah, GravityKit is a Gravity Forms certified developer, and we offer a toolkit of essential add-ons for Gravity Forms. And our add-ons center around building full-featured apps on top of Gravity Forms. So leveraging your data in ways that maybe you didn't realize you could before. And our add-ons focus on things like displaying data, editing, data importing, exporting, charting, reporting, analyzing, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, like Roger said, I'll get into some demos shortly and show you what that looks like.
Excellent. No, very exciting. And you've got some like testimonials, I think, that we can start off with here to really help maybe expand people's horizons for what types of businesses can take advantage of these applications and what the experience is that people who have actually done this are seeing.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a lot of customers who are agencies or, site builders here at GravityKit. And they're able to leverage our tools to really save a lot of time on development. Yeah, we have a great testimonial here from Philip Levine, who's an agency owner, and says that, GravityKit enabled them to get creative and, build powerful features without the need for custom PHP and complex coding, and it saved them a lot of time, which is something we often hear from our customers. Here's another customer, Eric Nutter, also an agency owner, and they said that GravityKit is an essential plugin for their business because it gives them the ability to quickly and easily deliver effective and efficient web tools to their clients to meet their unique needs. And this particular customer is doing some really cool stuff like building like custom CRM systems and things like that for different clients. So yeah, that was nice. Awesome to see. Yeah, and then I just have one more I was going to highlight here. This is Anthony Semino, also owns an agency called Experience Solutions. And they mentioned that, prior to discovering GravityKit, they had to hire developers or build solutions that they had to maintain for like many months or many years even. And, GravityKit just allowed them to get solutions right away and focus on getting outcomes right away without having to worry about any of that.
Excellent. And I think, so far you've really highlighted how agency owners take advantage of this. And I think it's important for, the end business user to realize that even if you aren't going to be the one that's building with GravityKit, the demos in this webinar are going to show you maybe some possibilities that you hadn't thought of before, or that you thought maybe you had to go outside of WordPress to get these capabilities. And so I'm really excited for both agency owners and for end website owners to really see the potentials here. With all this said, Casey, I'm too excited. Can we just go ahead and get jumped right into the first demo?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Let me go ahead and close some stuff here, and then I'll hop over to my Kinsta dashboard. So Roger, you were very, very kind to set me up here with a beautiful demo site on the Kinsta hosting platform. And I was was playing around with things, getting everything set up, and what struck me most is how intuitive and easy to use the dashboard is. Even for like a non-technical user like myself, I was able to go in and set up a staging site and get everything set up. So that was a great experience.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm happy to hear all of that.
Yeah, so I've got a staging site set up here, and I'm just going to dive into it actually, and then we'll get started with some of the demos. Yeah, I thought I'd just go through something pretty simple to start with, just so you can get an idea of what you can accomplish using GravityKit. And the first thing I want to highlight here is just a simple form I set up with Gravity Forms. So with GravityKit, everything starts with a form. That's how you collect your data. Gravity Forms handles that part, and then we do everything else after that. So this is a form I've set up for testimonial submissions. So, you might want customers or clients to go to this form, fill in a testimonial, and actually have that be displayed on your site somewhere. You probably wouldn't want to have to like go into the back end and log in and copy and paste things into a landing page or something. It would be nice just to have that displayed on your site right away. And that's something you can do with our flagship plugin called GravityView, which allows you to create these really neat front-end interfaces for Gravity Forms data. So I've got an example of that here.
Very nice. So when people come in, they'll fill out this form. Is there an option that I can review it before it gets published on the site?
Yeah, absolutely. So GravityView has an inbuilt approval system. You can enable that functionality, and then you as an admin or a site owner can go in, approve that testimonial, and then only once you've approved it, it'll display on the website.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's a huge time saver. I know with a lot of clients that I have, we did set up a form, so they now get that information. But like you said, they're not having to copy and paste this in. Errors can be made, and it can be quite cumbersome. This seems really straightforward.
Yeah, absolutely. And GravityView has a number of different templates in the view builder, which allows you to create these kinds of layouts just using drag and drop. So you can kind of work with it like you would a page builder almost. You can add your own rows with different column structures, and then you can drag and drop your fields in different places to create these different like template layouts for each of your entries. And then the data just gets pulled through, and you can display it in a nice sort of standardized way. So yeah, this is just kind of a simple example to get started, but I'll dive into some more complex stuff too.
Sounds great.
All right. So yeah, shall I move on to the directory? I think this is quite a common and popular use case for GravityView. So Gravity Forms is obviously an excellent way to collect data, especially for things like directories, because they support so many different field types. But then, of course, a lot of people want to take that data and actually build a directory and display it on the front end. And one thing that GravityView has is a maps extension, which allows you to, if your form has an address field, we can geocode that field and then display it on a Google map, which is really cool.
Okay.
And so yeah, I just set up a simple form here for, directory listings. Businesses can come here and fill out all their information, including their address and contact details, maybe upload a featured image, things like that. And then I set up a view here, template, for like a local business directory. So that data comes through, gets pulled through onto the front end. And you have this nice map that you can display the listings on, but everything's here below in a grid as well. So you can see all the business information.
Okay, excellent. No, I can see this being very useful for different types of membership groups that have different maybe locations around, or like a local business directory, or in this case, a national business directory. And I see there's some like filtering options at the top of this view. Is that all built in by default?
Yeah, it is. So that's one of the cool things about using the Maps extension, is that you have this geolocation functionality. So, you can search for listings around a certain location. You can define the radius here. So like I could search here, for example, like listings that are, within 15 miles of Boston, Massachusetts. And then you can see the map reloads here, and you can see those listings. So yeah.
Very cool. So one question here is, from my little bit of experience of working with Google Maps in the past is I have to go and like get API keys, and there's a whole nother thing I have to manage there. How does that work with GravityKit?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. So you will need an API key.
Okay.
There's a input box in the settings. You just have to go in there, paste your API key. Don't need to do anything else.
Okay.
And then we take care of the rest.
Awesome. So you've thought of everything.
Yeah, we try to make things as simple as possible for, kind of non-technical users, but we then also want things to be flexible enough for developers.
Absolutely. And so, one thing I notice here, like with the styling going on, all of this is obviously customizable by developers or anybody who understands what they're doing with CSS and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So like I mentioned, our builder is drag and drop by nature, but we do have the ability to add, custom CSS, custom JavaScript, things like that, if you want to do extra customizations. So things are flexible enough to kind of mold the layout into what you need, but also simple enough for like non-technical users to get something up and running that looks pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see, if I'm a franchise operator and I've got multiple stores in an area, this would be massive to have. If I'm running a membership directory and I want to be able to show where all my members are and have people be able to easily find each other and contact each other, this seems like an incredibly helpful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people are using GravityView for things like member management. Nonprofits use it for volunteer management, for example, things like that. So they can build these kind of internal databases that their teams can use. But then the advantage of doing it this way is that you can have everything on the front end, and then you can just lock it down for certain users so that you don't have to give people admin access to your WordPress site to go in and see all this data, because that can obviously be a security risk.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to like brainstorm a little bit here. If somebody creates a custom user in their WordPress install, they can then map that user to have permission to be able to see certain pages and fields. A lot of this is just basic WordPress functionality, but I'm assuming all of that still works just fine with GravityKit and GravityView.
Yeah, exactly. So, a view, this whole thing here is a view, and this is essentially a custom post type. But you can embed this on any page or any post on your site. So you can display it wherever you want, and then you can use that page's visibility settings. But another thing you can do is you can access the view directly, and then you can also use like our advanced filtering in the view settings to kind of lock down certain fields to certain user roles and things like that. I spent quite a bit of time developing some really like flexible conditional logic for being able to show certain data to certain users, or people with certain users with certain meta values. So you have quite fine-grained control over things like that, which is nice.
Excellent. No, that sounds really useful. I can see, like let's say you've got a membership directory and you want people to be able to see, hey, we've got a lot of members, but you don't necessarily want them to have the contact details until they've joined the group, and then they can see the contact details maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you have different membership tiers, for example, and you want to just show certain information to higher tiers, you can do things like that too. And then the nice thing about having it all integrated with Gravity Forms is that you can kind of leverage their add-ons as well for things like taking payments. They have like Stripe add-ons, PayPal add-ons, things like that. And then, you can lock things down based on like payment status and things like that too.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, so I was just going to show here, this part of the view where you can see all the entries.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the multiple entries page, if you will, and then you can click through onto one of these entries and see a more detailed overview. And you have the ability to, customize these different layouts here in the view editor. These are like templates that you can set up just with drag and drop. And then another cool thing about GravityView is it allows entry creators to actually edit the entries that they created on the front end. So they will have to be logged in to do that. But when you are logged in, you can go in here. There'll be an edit link if you enable that functionality, and then you can update that information directly from the front end of your site.
Wonderful. And that's huge, right? Because now instead of having everybody have to contact Central and get them to update the information, now you can just tell members maybe once a year, hey, it's that time again. Go in and update your contact details if they've changed at all. And now again, you're saving your time, your staff time to be able to just self-serve all of this by your users.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. What else you got?
All right, yeah, let's keep it going. So I've got another demo here, which is a fundraising dashboard that I built because we have a lot of nonprofits that use our tools. Nonprofits are operating with limited resources, and they're really looking to use tools where they can get a lot of outcomes, but they don't need to make a huge investment. And then, of course, they need to do things like manage donations and manage volunteers and things like that. So having like a data management system in place for that is really helpful. So I thought this was a good example. And what I've done is I've just set up, a very basic form in Gravity Forms for taking donations, which is a pretty common use case. And again, like I mentioned, you can leverage the Gravity Forms payment gateway add-ons for this. But obviously, I haven't done that here. It's just a demo. But I've got a simple form. Put your name, email, date, select a cause that you want to donate to, add your donation amount. And then as a nonprofit or a charity, it's quite nice to either display those donations on your site to show other people what donors are giving, or even have your own dashboard where you can kind of manage those donations or track your fundraising campaigns.
Okay.
And GravityKit offers some great solutions for that. So I've set up this dashboard here, and this is actually using 4 of our add-ons. And the nice thing about GravityKit is that all the add-ons sort of integrate really nicely together, so you can build some quite nice unified solutions and dashboards and things like that. So in this example, I'm using Gravity Math to produce these calculations at the top here. So I'm calculating the total amount raised and the total number of donations. And then here, I'm using our add-on called Gravity Charts, which allows you to create these really nice visualizations from your form data. And this is powered by Chart.js, and it gives you a lot of nice configuration options, and you can set these up exactly how you want them. And then, this is all embedded inside a GravityView view. And then GravityView is powering this table here with all of this, the raw kind of donation data.
This is really cool. So what are the 4 GravityKit features that are being used here again, just as a reminder?
All right, yeah. So it's Gravity Math. That's for the top one here. That's for performing calculations on your form data. Then we have Gravity Charts for creating charts and visualizations from your data. Down here is GravityView. That's powering this table here. And then there is another one, which is Gravity Edit. If I scroll down here, you can see I have this link now, Toggle Inline Edit. And this is using our Inline Edit add-on. So when I click that, you can see now all these fields are they have this underline, this dotted underline, which means they're actually editable directly from this view. So if I click here, you can see it opens up a little box, and I can edit these values here directly from this page and just update it like that. So it can save you a lot of time when updating and making edits to your data.
For sure. Yeah, no, that again, also your admin people, right, who work at the nonprofit, maybe they're volunteers, they're not having to go into the WordPress admin area and navigate all of that. They just need to get logged in and then go to the page that they need to work on, and they can get to work. And I love this, right? Especially for those volunteer positions where maybe you don't have time to give them a lot of training. Maybe they don't want to go through a lot of training. This makes it seem to be very simple and easy for them to get to work for you.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're an agency, you can set your client up with something like this, and it's pretty easy for them to kind of navigate and do the things that they need to do without having to like go into the back end and possibly mess stuff up.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice advantage of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, just kind of like brainstorming through this, right? Create a special user for, hey, this is the fundraising editor role. And the only thing that they're able to do is edit this page. They can't mess with anything else. And I think that's the beauty to me about WordPress, right? Is being able to specialize those roles and prevent people from getting into the plugins area or the themes area where they can really cause some problems, but still take advantage of the features of WordPress, which is being able to log in and make edits without having to call your developer. Not only does it save a ton of time and money, it just makes everything a lot more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then the cool thing about this particular dashboard is that everything is integrated into one view here. So for example, if I performed a search here, like if I filtered by a certain cause, you'll see all of these widgets update.
Wow.
So including the calculations and the charts and everything. Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a lot faster than I can do with Google Sheets. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. I can see a lot of people taking advantage of this to, again, replace the Google Sheets that they're using so much, which, again, you can easily mess up. They can be very confusing for people that are not as acquainted with navigating those. By using GravityKit in this situation with your WordPress website, you or your developer can set up a very contained environment so that the volunteers can only do specific actions. And then also for anybody who's just visiting the website, if they just want to look at how different things are being worked on, again, there's just a lot more self-service being unlocked with all of this, which is just priceless.
Yeah, totally. And like all of this data is housed on your own site. You have full control over it. It's not like a SaaS product, where you're outsourcing that to another company and trusting them with your data. And we have customers who, for example, work for government agencies, and they're not allowed to use things like Trello and these kind of SaaS products because it doesn't comply with their data security requirements. So they are using our solutions, to power their dashboards and productivity systems and stuff that they use internally. So that's really cool.
I think that's a really great point, and it's a lovely segue. I'll thank you very much for being able to talk about Kinsta here a little bit. And again, really bringing it back to the power of WordPress and open source software, right? You hit the nail on the head. You own all of this data. And I think we lose sight of that with all of the SaaS stuff that's happening, the convenience of something like Trello or whatnot, where it is, on one sense, very simple to get started with those tools. But then once you're a few years down the road, realizing how beholden you are, whereas if you're using GravityKit with WordPress and hosting it at Kinsta, right, you've got the SOC 2 compliance, you've got the security of our DevOps teams and SysOps teams like watching over everything. We've got Cloudflare CDN sitting in front of it for DDoS attacks and also for performance. And so with the combination of all of these things, you're able to deliver a solution that your customer does truly own. And one thing I want to point out here is if you look closely at the address bar, you'll notice that it's on a temporary Kinsta URL, and that's the staging site that you're using for all of this. So as a developer, you can be building all of this, send the temporary URL to your clients. They can see either the new page that you're working on or the updates you're doing to it. And when they sign off on this, you can just hit push to live and everything's live on your actual website.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was sort of going through the Kinsta dashboard, I also noticed you support not only daily but hourly backups if you need that. And that's awesome because that can give you so much peace of mind as a developer, knowing that if something crazy happens, you can just revert back to one of the backups and all's fine.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've also got manual backup. So if you're doing something specifically and you're kind of like, hold my beer, I don't know if this is going to work or not, go into a manual backup, name it. You could name it hold my beer or whatever helps you remember. And if that update does mess everything up, you can quickly revert back to that backup and keep working.
Awesome. Yeah, so shall I quickly go through my last demo here?
Yeah, let's take a look at this one.
All right, so this one's maybe a little bit more involved, but I wanted to kind of give an idea of how to set up a really complete system using GravityKit. So I've gone with an example for event management.
Okay.
So, there's a few different components here. The one thing is that you would want a way to easily publish events to your site. Maybe you have like an event showcase. You want to show those to site visitors. And then the site visitors should be able to, browse those events and then register for one of the events. And then you'll need a way to kind of manage those registrations. Maybe have your event organizers or something log in and have their own dashboard where they can go and like approve event registrations, check things like payment receipts for tickets, all that kind of stuff. So, I've built a simple example here to show how you can set up a full system for managing this stuff, just using Gravity Forms and GravityKit. So here again, like everything with GravityKit, it all starts with a form. And I've got my event registration form here. Or actually, sorry, this is an event submission form where, let's say, an event organizer can log in here. They'll see this form. They can add a new event to the showcase. So like they can put in the event name. They can put in a nice rich description here. Add the date and time, the category, the price, all that kind of good stuff. And then GravityView, we take that and display it on the front end in a nice showcase. So we've got a nice, basic search bar set up. And then we have all our events set up here just in a simple list. And then we're displaying the category and, whether it's free or paid. And some basic information here, and people can kind of browse through the different events. And then let's say, one takes their fancy. They can click to view more details. And they can see all of the, the full description of the event here on a single entry page, what we call it. And then when they scroll down, there's actually another Gravity Forms form embedded here in this template, which allows them to register for this particular event. And then what you can do is when you're setting this up, you can use dynamic population to make sure that the event that they're registering for is captured in the form, so you know exactly where they came from.
Okay.
Yeah, and then once they've registered for that, you probably need a way to kind of manage registrations, approve attendees and things like that. And for that, you can build a secondary dashboard, and you could give access to your event organizers, for example. They can log in here. They've got their own dashboard. They can see everybody who's signed up for an event, and then they have the ability, again, using GravityView's approval functionality, to come in here and actually approve or reject registrations as well. And then when they want to view the full registration, you can click View Details here. I've set this up in a light box, and then you can see the full registration.
Wow. There's a lot going on here. I guess my first question would be, what kind of tutorials or instructions does GravityKit have for doing something like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first thing I would say is that we have an Academy site that we recently started really promoting. And it's at academy.gravitykit.com. And this is like a free and open site. Anyone can access it. And there we actually publish full-length video courses going through specific use cases, just like this one, and we show you how to set it up step by step.
That's going to be really helpful, because the experience I've had, I remember years ago, I used Pods to set up a friend's website, and we did some event stuff in there. And I just remember like the math I was trying to do in my head of like, okay, what goes where? What fields do I need to name what? And so having that academy with those tutorial videos has got to be just a huge help for people learning how to use these systems, because immediately something that comes to mind is, I feel like you would have to be reinventing the wheel each time you go to create this, but knowing that the academy is there, somebody can quickly and easily go to the section about creating an event, registration, event showcase type thing, and having a tutorial to be able to follow through. That's just a huge help for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And one other thing that we have is we have a lot of these demos here set up as templates that you can import. So we have another add-on called GravityMigrate, and it allows you to essentially migrate full Gravity Forms setups from one site to another, including everything related to your forms, like everything I've just showed you here, for example. So we can set these up as templates, and then if you have GravityMigrate, you can literally just drop that into your site, and it imports everything for you. So it's all kind of set up and ready to go.
Wow, that's incredibly useful. Casey, these are great. Is there anything else in the demos that you wanted to walk through, or we're kind of gotten through the demo part?
I think that's it. I was just going to quickly show the view editor, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. This might be a good one to show. The first demo, the testimonial wall.
Yeah.
Just quickly show what this looks like. All right, so here I am in the back end. I'm in the GravityView view editor, and I just wanted to quickly show how this works. So here in the view editor, you can choose different layouts for your data, and we have these kind of preset layouts here. So for this one, I'm using the layout builder, but we also have like a basic table layout and a list layout, the map, data tables we also support, and even a DIY layout where you can build your own layouts using HTML and CSS. It's more developer focused, but it gives you a lot of flexibility. And yeah, so when you choose your layout and you connect your form, which is up here, so I've connected my testimonial form here. And then you can add fields to the layout, and you can also add rows and columns as well. So it kind of works like a page builder, where you can add new rows and select your column structures here. And then you can add fields from the field picker, which are they map to the fields in your Gravity Forms form. And then you can drag and drop all of these fields to different areas as well. So it's all set up with drag and drop. It's super easy to use. Each field has their own settings here that you can configure. There's a lot of different options. And then the view settings as well. There's a lot of inbuilt functionality here that you can go in and enable if you want to use it as well. And then, of course, like I mentioned, we have the ability to add custom code for developers and people who are a bit more tech savvy. You can come in here and add your CSS if you want to, JavaScript, whatever it is that you want to do.
Amazing. Amazing. This sounds really like a great tool for people to be exploring to use to really unlock more potential of their website. Let's talk a little bit details here. If people are interested in using GravityKit, I'm assuming they need to get Gravity Forms. And then, what's kind of like the first steps if they're going to get started using GravityKit? Let's say it seems like the testimonials thing is kind of the lowest bar set in terms of all the items they need to get and the effort need to put into it. What does that look like logistically? Like what plugins do they need to get? And then, currently as of October 2025, what kind of pricing are we talking about?
Right. Yeah, great questions. So it really depends on what you're looking to do. If you have a use case in mind, you can go and kind of browse the different plugins that we offer, or you can just contact our support team, support@gravitykit.com, and they can advise you on the different plans or the different plugin combinations that you might need for your particular solution. So one of our most popular, our flagship plugin is GravityView, and then we have a pro option called GravityView Pro, and that comes with additional layouts and extensions. So essentially allows you to do a little bit more using GravityView. And this is the plugin I'm showing here.
Okay.
So yeah, GravityView, all our single add-ons are $99 a year for a single site. GravityView is a little bit more expensive. It's $119 per year. GravityView Pro is $199. I think it's very good value. You get a bunch of additional extensions and layouts with that. And then our most popular plan actually is our All Access Pass, which gives you access to GravityView Pro as well as all of our other add-ons. So we have like 11 individual add-ons all together in the kit. You get access to all of that, $399 per year.
Okay. And I think, these numbers can seem large, right? When you look at, hey, WordPress is free to download, right? This is always kind of the area where we all have to start from in the WordPress world. People are like, well, wait, why am I paying for this? WordPress is free. And I think what's important for people to do is look back at this demo and see all of the actions that you could have either a volunteer or someone who maybe they're just, they're an admin or, an entry-level person at your company can now quickly and easily edit your website, or even in the business directory case, you can have the businesses themselves come in and make their own edits. How much time is that saving you having to pay somebody to do all of those actions? And I'm pretty sure as long as you're an active business and you're doing a lot of things, you're more than saving that $399 a year. So that seems like a phenomenal deal for me. The first thing that comes to my mind is, wow, this looks pretty complicated. I could use it, right? I know how to go in and edit those fields, but setting this up, it seems like a lot of stuff. Do you have a program for connecting end users or end site owners with agencies who are familiar with GravityKit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there is something called Gravity Assist, which actually used to be run by Beth Hannon.
Okay.
And they were doing exactly this. They were essentially helping people with Gravity Forms related solutions. It's something that we've taken over recently now. So yeah, so that definitely does exist. If you need, particular help with Gravity Forms experts to help set some of this stuff up, we can put you in contact with the right people.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right. So the good news is that you have amazing support and people can just ask these questions. Hey, I'm trying to do X, either,
yeah, absolutely.
Hey, what do I need to buy to do it myself, or who can I reach out to do this for me? And you'll be able to help them all the way.
Yeah, for sure. And our support is fantastic. They can, if you're setting this up yourself, they can help you all along the way. We have a lot of documentation for everything as well. So there's a lot of resources to help you get set up.
Excellent, excellent. Casey, we've kind of hit our time limit here. This has been amazing. The demos that you've shown have really gotten me thinking. That the event one especially, I'm thinking about all the different places that I know that spend money on meetup.com and have to deal with advertisements and just the hassle of using that platform. Now you can just set this up on your own site, and it's very performant and is relatively easy to do. If people want to get in touch with you, with GravityKit, what is the best place for them to do that?
Yeah, if you want to check out what we offer, you can head over to gravitykit.com. Otherwise, feel free to reach out. You can reach out to me at kc@gravitykit.com, or if you want to talk to our support team, that's support@gravitykit.com.
Amazing, amazing. And of course, Kinsta is here to host all of these amazing sites that you're building with GravityKit. We're going to give you the containerized solutions so that everything is performant and working very quickly and securely. Your data is safe at Kinsta. We've got SOC 2 compliance. We have uptime guarantees, 24/7 support as well. So if you have questions about how your site is performing, we have tools like our application performance monitoring tool, so you can actually see which functions or which database queries might be taking the most time. We really encourage you to take a look. We also have our agency partner program. So if you're an agency, please reach out. I'd love to talk with you about your agency and see how we can help you. If you're looking for an agency, as Casey's pointed out, they have resources to get you in touch. I also have resources to get you in touch with an agency to help you build or maintain or improve the site that you've already got and get more out of it. With all that said, Casey, I really appreciate your time. I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you so much. You too.